We got two things to do, two main things to do tonight.
Last issue already said no.
Well, the first question is how to read the Rambam, how Chaim read the Rambam. But I want to tell you guys a big chiddush, only because I think it's a big chiddush and it's a beautiful chiddush that I'm going to show you how to read something that actually finally makes sense to me. Watch this. Remember this Chai Adam we read, right? The Chai Adam that saves our life, right? The Chai Adam says, and again, we paskin mitzvah shrichos kavana. So therefore, and we're all in deep, dire trouble. Why? Because if you don't have kavana, you're not yotzei the mitzvah. So for instance, let's say Shachris this morning, there are 5 mitzvahs essay, right? How many of us had kavana before I put on talis? Hashem mitzvah tzitzis, then there's Hashem mitzvah tefillin, Kriya Shema, Tefillah, you see us Mitzrayim, right? Who had kavana? Answer is nobody. So maybe you'll think you're toast. So says the Mishmur name of Chayadam. And when do you have to do it again? Is only when we could assume that the first time you did it was not l'shem mitzvah. Kagon, but let's say blowing the shofar. Let's say it's Rosh Hashanah morning, and you say to yourself, I'm not sure I know how to do the tkiyas right. So you're practicing, and the last set you blow perfectly, you blow right. Now, did you have in mind the mitzvah, or did you have in mind still practicing? That's where you have to have kavanah for the mitzvah, because otherwise, you might maybe still practicing. Okay, good. Or Krishma, Shai said Derek Limudo, or Krishma, let's say you're learning Parshas, you're learning Dvarim, and you get up to Parsha of Shema, and you're reading it. Now, how do we know that whether he's saying you're having in mind the mitzvah of Krishma of Dibar Tabam, or you're just learning some Psukim in Torah? That's when you need to have kavanah. Aval im kori Krishma Gederach Shana Korim say the Tefillah, but if you're reading Shema in order of davening, v'chein kishachal matzah taka, or if you're eating matzah, or you blew the shofar, but not the lulav. Afal pishlo kivin latzes, even though you do not have kavanah to be yotze, why? Shem mishum ze oseh kedei latzes. Because why else he's doing it? He's doing it to be yotze. Afal pishe. Stop that, please. Afal pi. Afal pishe loy mechavim ferish. Even though it wasn't mechavim ferish, is yotze. Afal bestam avade lo yotze kedei tos. Good. Now, okay, good. Gentlemen, does anyone have a clue to what the Chai Adam is saying?
Isn't it like we were saying that if you start having kavanah, it doesn't matter what happens? Like we said in Shiur.
Yeah. But what if I didn't have kavanah? I walked into shul this morning and I just thought about nothing much at all. I put on my talis, I put on my tefillin, I started saying Shema. Okay, I had kavanah first pasuk of Shema.
You made your kavanah known by walking to shul. Why else were you walking to shul?
Well, I want to ask you a question.
With your talis and tefillin on.
Watch this.
But with your talis and tefillin.
Okay, what if you didn't know? And a lot of Orthodox Jews don't know. What if you don't know that there's a mitzvah twice a day to remember that Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim? So you can't tell me that you thought Ani Hashem Lekechem Shasei Sitzchem Eretz Mitzrayim was the mitzvah say because you didn't even know there was such a mitzvah.
Okay, that's a good question, but that's not. But the Or HaChaim here is referencing that you did have kavanah.
No.
It says sheyesh latlos shasiya harishon eloizel l'shem. Oh, even the first ma'aseh wasn't l'shem.
Right. When do we say mitzvah needs kavanah? When you're practicing a shofar, so maybe you're practicing, maybe you're blowing mitzvah. I don't know. Or you're reading the Torah, maybe you're reading Shema, the mitzvah Shema, maybe you're reading. And that's when you have to say, Hini mucham zumen l'kayim mitzvah krishma. But if it's not that case, but if you're eating matzah or blowing a shofar, not the lulav, even though shelo kivein latzes, even though he wasn't mechavim latzes, he's yotze. Why is that, gentlemen? Why would he be yotze?
The way I understood is that the context creates the kavanah.
Good. And the reason why you understood it that way is because that's the way we said it over. And that's how I always thought he meant. But guess what? I don't think it's true. Because what do you mean the context creates a kavanah? Let's say he didn't know there was even a mitzvah like this. And a lot of people don't know. And yeah. 1 second. Right. And I have a couple other rayas also. I'll show you Ryan in a minute. All right, but what? Okay, good. Gentlemen, you want to hear a Chiddush Nora, Nifla, and mind-boggling? And I only understand it now because of the Pshat Rav Chaim. Here we go. You ready for this? Why in the world do mitzvahs need kavanah? So the way we understood up to now is, I don't know, it must be a special din. You have to infuse it with the energy of kavanah for mitzvah. And if you don't infuse with energy, because Hashem kiyam mitzvahs the way Hashem commanded, if you don't infuse it with that energy, you don't fulfill a mitzvah. That must be that what the mandama holds. I say nonsense. There's no such concept. The problem is, it's exactly. The problem is, in some cases, it might be misasek. Why? I'll give you a good example. Let's say there's a tablecloth, and on top of the tablecloth is a lulav and esrog. And I go to pick up the tablecloth. I didn't even think about the lulav and esrog. I didn't really, but I picked it up. Oh, was the Yotzi Natil's lulav?
No.
I picked it up.
No.
Right? And that's misasek. It's not a mice of picking it up. You have to do a mice of picking it up. Now, and almost always, and that's what it is. And it's when you blow the shofar, you're blowing the shofar, unless but almost every time you're going to do a mitzvah, you don't need an infusion of das to make it into a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah automatically. The only problem is, what if it's an action that has two ways to interpret it, and we don't really know? That's when you have to have the infusion of das, because you have to take it out of the category of being misasik, or take it out of the category of just reading the Torah, take it out of the category of practicing shofar. But if there aren't two ways to interpret it, you don't need das. Who says you need any das for a mitzvah? Mitzvahs don't need kavanah. Mitzvahs only need a kavanah. That's what the Chayim is saying. And mitzvahs only need kavanah if there are two ways to interpret it, and you don't know what he's doing, so it's not clear that he's doing a mitzvah. Maybe it's misasik. Maybe so therefore it's not a mitzvah automatically. But provided it's in the context of it being a mitzvah, you don't need any kavanah. It's a mitzvah. That's it. Done. Who says? Meaning, let's say the mandama mitzvahs lo strichus kavanah, right? According to Rava Paskins mitzvahs don't need kavanah, right? According to him, do you need kavanah in a mitzvah? Answer is, that was a klotzkash, right? What's the answer? According to Rava, what's the answer?
No, you don't.
You know, how can you do a mitzvah without infusion of kavanah? Says Rava, how can infusion of kavanah nonsense? You did the mitzvah. So what does the other mandam hold? Other mandam doesn't need, you need infusion of kavanah. And just there are some situations where it's not clear that you did a mitzvah. There you have to infuse kavanah because it might be misasek. You have to distinguish it as an action of a mitzvah when there are two interpretations. But if there aren't two interpretations, you're in shul, so putting your hands over you, there's only one interpretation. You pick up a lulav and esrog, and during that, there's only one interpretation. You don't need kavanah, because who says you need kavanah in a mitzvah? You hear the chiddush? I mean, for 40 years, I learned that you need to infuse kavanah into the mitzvah. That's pshat mitzvah kavanah. But the Chayim is saying, no, it's wrong. You don't need infusion of a kavanah. The mitzvah is the mitzvah. Wait a minute. So there's some situations where maybe there are two ways to interpret it. I don't know. That's something different. That, then you need kavanah because it might be misasek. So you got to take it out of the category. But it's not that you need an innate infusion of anything.
So why does he go on to say that's only b'diavad works? It seems like it should be like a tefillah.
Oh, no. So no, to the higher levels. Listen, I can be Yotzei Shmon Esrei just by having kavanah in avos, but it sure is a lot more effective if I have kavanah in the whole Shmon Esrei, right? So I can put on tzitzit without just spacing out, or I can have kavanah because the shame, the mantiskos, right? The mantiskos komitzosai, meaning that's a higher level. It's more. You're right, and no question, at higher levels. But
should we be doing that throughout the day, like stopping and thinking about the fact we're wearing tzitzis?
Oh no, it's a good idea, but no. And to fulfill the mitzvah tzitzis, what you should do is there are three mitzvahs. The Bach says that you should have kavanah specifically during tzitzit, tefillin, and sukkah, because in each one of them the Torah says specifically to have kavanah, right? And by sukkahs it says ki b'sukkahs hashafti es bnei Yisrael. In order for your generations to know, meaning why do you sin a sukkah? Hashem says so that you'll know for generations that I sat you in a sukkah back in the midbar. So the Bach says obviously when you sin a sukkah you're supposed to have that kavanah. But Mishmur says clearly, by the way, if you don't have that kavanah, doesn't matter, it's still yotzei. And because you don't, but you should. Now tzitz is the same thing. When you put on tzitz, it says the Torah says. When you wear tzitzis, you should remember all my mitzvahs. So when you put on the tzitzis in the morning, you should have in mind, I'm putting this on because Hashem was mitzvah, so that I remember all of his mitzvahs. That's the lechatchila way to do it.
One time when you put it on?
But just one time when you put it on. But if in fact, let's say you didn't have that kavana, you're still yotze 100% the mitzvah. It says Mishabur, it's better, it's right, it's proper. You should have the kavana, but if you didn't, it's also fine. And the other mitzvah is tefillin. And tefillin, the pasuk says, "L'mantia Torah Hashem beficha," that the Torah of Hashem should be in your mouth. And put on tefillin because it keeps. So therefore, when you put on tefillin in the morning, you should say to yourself, "Muchan mazumin the kind of mitzvah is tefillin." Why? Because mantia Torah Hashem beficha. That's the idea. But again, if you didn't have that kavana, you're still yotze. So the point is,
so throughout the day, looking at your tzitzis to remind you to, like, as a shmira for doing the right thing, the HR, etc. That's not, there's not an Indian.
No, there is a big Indian. It's a very good idea. It's a very good idea. And in fact, that's what tzitzis are supposed to do. You're supposed to read them also, you're supposed to see them. It's supposed to do it. Now, I'll let you in a secret. I've been wearing tzitzits, I don't want to tell you how many years, many years. I don't ever remember once looking at tzitzits and say, oh, all the mitzvahs. Now, maybe you'd say because we don't have a psil tchelis, I don't know why, but Lamaisa, it's supposed to work. What can I say? I've not.
I don't know if it helps, but I try to do it. I'll look down because when I'm sitting in my chair, I'm sitting in my desk chair all day, so my tzitzis are kind of like hanging on my legs. So every time you look down, you see your tzitzis. So every once in a while, I try to focus on,
I once heard Rabbi Miller say it works if you invest it into the mitzvah. Meaning, if you train yourself, like you're saying, you train yourself to when you see it, to remember the mitzvahs. By the way, the Chavetz Chaim says, oh, the Chavetz Chaim is so sharp. Oh, what a great rabbi, what a great man. He says, obviously, you have to be bucky in all the mitzvahs of Hashem. Why? The pasuk says, where tzitz is the mantiskaru, so you remember it's called mitzvosai. If you don't know the mitzvahs, you can't remember them. So obviously you have to learn all the. That's why he introduces his Sefer Mitzvah Kotza before his introduction to that book. He wrote a book, just a collation of all the mitzvahs. He says, obviously you have to know all the mitzvahs. How can you remember the mitzvahs if you don't know them? So you got to learn all the mitzvahs. Isn't that an amazing diak?
So the thing on top of it was, so he wrote a sefer so all college all could do it.
Wait. So Rebbe, that's the answer. That's the answer to the question. You have to remember all the mitzvahs. So the question is, if you don't know that Kriya Shema is a mitzvah, say twice a day, morning and night. You were saying a lot of Orthodox Jews don't know that.
Right.
How can they be Mekayim the mitzvah? That was an original question that you had asked, right?
Right.
Okay.
Good.
So
What answer?
So here's the answer.
Yeah.
Since most Yidden do not know all the mitzvahs,
Right.
Leman Tiskru means not that you should know all the mitzvahs, but that you should know that you've accepted upon yourself all the mitzvahs.
Okay, so Martin, that's a very interesting reading, but Rabbi Kagan doesn't agree. Right? The Chavetz Chaim says, from this pasuk, you see, you have to know all the mitzvahs. How could you possibly remember all the mitzvahs if you don't know them? You see, the Torah is machayiv you to know all the mitzvahs. So it means, he says, when you look at tzitzis, you're supposed to remember all of the mitzvahs, not just the makabel the mitzvahs, but each one. Right? You have to be able to blitz through the, whatever. So apparently it's not just Kabbalah's mitzvahs, but each individual mitzvah, apparently. That's how he reads it. And he's a very good reader, Rabbi Kagan. He,
Okay. I retreat.
Yeah.
So, Rabbi, what about putting those three mitzvahs aside? Let's say, taking lulav or whatever. So is it actually, are we saying it makes a difference? It sounds like at the end of the Mishmur, he's saying it's better to actually be thinking like Kasher Tziva Hashem or something like that, rather than using contextual, kavana. So, but why should that be? If it's just to prevent you from being misasek, is that really better for it to be
No,
your
because it's a higher level. Meaning it's not, you don't need it to be Yotzei necessarily, but it's a higher level. It's like, there are many levels. Meaning the Arizal had all kinds of kavanas when he davened. We're not going to reach that level, but that doesn't mean you need that to be Yotzei. It's the question is, what do you need to be Yotzei, and what are Hidurim? So you could buy a $70 Yesrog Yotzei. You could buy more Hidurim, $250, $500. But it's better. But what do you need to be Yotzei? You know what I'm saying? Two different issues.
Even with just basic kavana, of saying like Kasher Tziva Hashem, nothing, no fancy kavanas, just the basic. Right. I'm doing this because Hashem told me to do it.
Except for tzitzit, yes. Except for tzitzit, tefillin, and sukkah, you should have the kavana. I'm doing it Kasher Tziva Hashem. Now, sukkah, you should have addition to that, right? That's an addition. But the other mitzvahs you should have because Shetziva Hashem.
I'm just not hearing it. Why is that a higher level to be thinking that if that's already contextually what I'm doing? I'm doing it because Hashem commanded me. So now I'm thinking it versus not actively thinking it. What does it matter?
No. First of all, contextually, I believe I'm the way I'm saying now. There's no contextual kavana. I don't think the Chayada means that.
I mean, you're not masasik, which means by definition you're doing the mitzvah because Hashem told you to do it, right?
No,
that's not what that means.
No, because according to Rava, if you hold mitzvah tzrichas kavana, what kavana do you have to have when you do the mitzvah?
He would still say masasik's no good. You can't be masasik.
Right, but what kavana do you have to have?
Kasher Tziva Hashem, I assume. Well, you don't need that, right?
You don't need that. So what does Rava say?
So what do you do? So what are you doing then, according to Rava? You're just doing it because this is what we're doing it because I'm supposed to do it. Doesn't that mean Kasher Tziva Hashem is not the same thing?
No, I don't think you have to think I'm doing because I'm supposed to do it.
Rava has to agree that you're a maimin, right? You have to be a maimin. If you're not a maimin, it doesn't help.
Question is, when I did this mitzvah, did I think Kasher Tziva Hashem? Or did I just do it without thinking? Listen, the guy like the Magen Ram's case, right? The guy went to shul. He left his house thinking he's gonna go shofar. When he got to shul, he spaced out totally. He didn't think shofar anything, right? So, what would Rav? Let's say Rav would say even mitzvah shekhavana agree to that. I mean, according to Rava, it means if you're benching, you don't think anything about mitzvahs, but you finish eating. You sing the song, that's what you always do, but you didn't think to do the mitzvah. You didn't think I should tziva Hashem.
According to the Chayim, it can't just be purely that it's not masasik because we're in the world of mitzvah srichas kavana, so it has to be that there.
That's what I'm saying to you. There is no world of mitzvah srichas kavana. It's a tos. There's no such world. There's only a world of mitzvah srichas kavana when there are two ways to interpret it. Then you need the kavana to make it not misasik. But if you don't have that possibility, you don't need kavana mitzvahs. There is no machlokas. That's the only case machlokas is when you have two ways to interpret the action. Then you need kavana to make sure it's not the lislamed or the reading in the Torah.
Are we saying that's the machlokas in the Gemara is specifically that it's limited to that case?
I think that's Pshat in Chayadim. What else is Chayadim saying? Listen to his words. His words is, he says, Alpha Bishlo Kivin Latzes, right? Even though you didn't have Kavan Latzes, Yasa. Why Shreizim Ose Kidei Latzes? What does it mean? But you didn't think these words. You didn't think I'm doing because Hashem Kidei Latzes. You didn't think anything. The answer is, that's what else do you need? You don't need Kavana. The Torah said, do it, you did it. Meaning, where do you get this idea? You have to have kavanah to be yotze. Where does this come from? So we got it because in Simon Tzadik in Samach in Shulchan Aruch it says Machloka is yeshomri mitzvah ein tzrich kavanah and yeshomri mitzvah tzrich kavanah. So we always learned, and I'm certainly included in that. I mean, the second mandam hold, you need an infusion of kavanah. It's not enough for you to blow the shofar. You have to infuse the shofar with kavanah l'shem because shem shetziva Hashem. Like infuse it with kavanah. That's how I always learned. I think the Chayam saying you got it wrong. You don't need any infusion to nothing. The only time you need an infusion is when there are two ways to interpret it. Then you got to show that it's not the other one because maybe you're not doing anything. Meaning, how are we learning Rav Chaim? Do you understand what this tradition Rav Chaim is? Or Rav Chaim, how am I saying the answer to Rav Chaim in the end?
It's all Das Rishonim. That's all that matters. And then...
What does that mean? How does Das Rishonim help? I spaced out. Das Rishonim, what good, but I spaced out the rest of the time.
You're right. You're making it clear it's not misasek, that's you're doing when you're doing the mitzvah. Even if you space out later, you're doing it for the right reason.
I'm talking to God. This is what I'm doing. What do you think? Now listen, if I don't talk to God in the beginning, you could call it misasek, fine. And once I'm talking to God, I'm talking to God, but there's no kavanah. Who cares kavanah? What do you need kavanah for? You want to be the Arizal, you need kavanah. You want to be the Gra, you need kavanah. We want to yotze plain Jews. You want to be yotze the mitzvah, you don't need kavanah. The Rav Chaim said, you misasek. Yes, that's you're not talking to God. But once you begin a speech to God, you know that you're standing in front of Hashem and you're speaking to God. It's no longer misasek. But where's your kavanah? You don't need kavanah. How? But mitzvah is kavanah, right? Didn't Rav Chaim quote it? Yeah, but that's exactly what the Chai Adam says. And it's all mitzvahs only shlichus kavanah if you could interpret it a different way. Maybe he's doing cantorial practice, right? Let's say a guy's a chazan and he practices, Musaf. Baruch atah Hashem. So there, maybe you're right. He has to have a kavanah davka. Hini mucham mizum l'kayim mitzvahs, tzilas musaf. Because otherwise, maybe you're just practicing cantorial exercises. But if that's not the mitzias, as long as it begins. He's in shul, he's davening. That's mitzvah kavanah, meaning once you get up to talk to God, that's already talking to God. Gentlemen, do I hear this? I hear this as a huge chiddush. Am I alone?
Massive fetish. Majorly limiting the machlokas in the Gemara, right? I mean, it's it's revolutionary. But how else do you read the Chai Adam? By the way, can I be honest with you? I've said this Chai Adam over as contextual for I don't want to tell you how many times I've said it over, and for years. And every time in the back of my mind, I kept saying to myself, "Well, what does that mean? What does context mean? Contextual kavanah. But what do you mean you didn't have kavanah? And you need kavanah. Well, contextual. It's good enough. What does that mean? If you need kavanah, you didn't have kavanah.
So what was it that we were saying that, like, as long as you had in mind when you were going to shul for that morning that you were going to hear the shofar, then you're fine. It sounds like even without that, you should be fine.
No, so I think the pshat is because otherwise it is really misasek. Meaning, if he's totally spaced out, I'll give you a good for instance.
He's listening as opposed to blowing?
Because he doesn't have mind even a mitzvah. In other words, it's like
if he's davening, let's set aside shofar for a second. Let's say he's davening. Does he have to have any additional kavanah?
By the way, I think honestly, the Magen Avraham is a chiddush beyond the Chai Adam. But we'll get to that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's what I'm asking. Is he arguing? Is it something different?
It is. So, yes, it's something different. I believe it's beyond the Chai Adam even, because it's where you set up your das initially, and that das carries you all day. It's even beyond. It's definitely not the same sound as the Chai Adam. It definitely sounds more.
You're twisting the tzitzis today, tomorrow, the next day, the day after that. It's all one kavanah. That sounds like it's more than the Chai Adam. No.
Yeah. I was struggling with this, to be honest with you. I believe it's a step beyond. Why do you need it even? If the Chai, first of all, you should know something for the record. The Chai Adam is not a unanimous opinion. Baruch Hashem, the Mishnah Berurah brings it l'halacha and saves our life, but is not a unanimous opinion at all. And it could be that the Magen Avraham would say nonsense. How can I try to contextual or you don't need kavanah at all? Nonsense. Of course you need kavanah. But what does kavanah mean? If you leave your house in the morning, that's another. That sets for the day. You know what I'm saying? So it could be that the Magen Avraham does not agree with this chiddush of the Chai Adam. This Chai Adam is again, it saves our lives, but it's a made breakthrough chiddush.
So each of them could be a chiddush that doesn't include the other one.
Correct. 100%.
Because we went so deep into the weeds. Halacha l'maisa, where are we at? Because I'm davening like 3 different ways, and I'm afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not davening properly. Where are we at?
Okay, we should do the halacha. Let's do this real quick. I'll do it outside first. I have the slides all prepared. Let me see what halacha is. Slides. I got a whole thing for the halacha. What is kavanah?
It's set that you're not yotzi, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, 1 second. So what is kavanah? There's kavanah lim mitzvahs and kavanah bid mitzvahs. Kavanah lim mitzvahs is what we're talking about, this whole sugyah to be yotzi the mitzvah. Kavanah bid mitzvah, when you're doing the mitzvah, is a very limited thing. So let's see. The slides are so pretty. I can't not do the slides. I could not do the slides. Let me do. How much time do we have left? Let me do it outside. I'll tell you outside. We'll do the slides. Will be the bottom line is like this. The Mishnah Berurah tells us lahalacha. There are only 2 things that you have to pay attention in your entire day to be yotze. And the first pasuk in Shema, you have to have Hashem Elokeinu. Hashem is my God. That's Kabbalah's Omach Shemayim. Hashem Echad. Hashem is one. That pasuk you have to have kavanah. Baruch Shem probably also, but that you have to have kavanah. The only other part you have to have a kavanah during is the first bracha of Avos, from Baruch Hashem to Magen Avram. Any other part of davening that you totally spaced out, you think about any Yotze. The words themselves have an effect, and words themselves have the power. By Shema, you have to be Makabel or Malchus Shemayim, because that's what Shema is. It's being accepting Hashem as my God. So if you don't have that in your mind, you're not doing the mitzvah. And others, Chazal demanded that that's the main shvach of Hashem, main praise. So you have to kavanah. Anything else, kavanah bim mitzvah, in the mitzvah itself, you don't need any other kavanah. Now, there are some mitzvahs where it's a nice thing to have kavanah in. For instance, like the Bach says, in when you're putting on tzitzits in the morning, on tiskaru, putting on tefillin, the mantia Torah shemficha, so when you sing a sukkah, those are nice things to have kavanah bih, but they're not ma'akev. The only two things that are ma'akev kavanah in the mitzvah is Shema and the first bracha in Shemona Esrei. Now, then there's another issue. And do you need kavanah lim mitzvah? So the answer is l'chatchila, every mitzvah before you do it, and you should think at least the words kashiva Hashem. That's what you should do. But what if you didn't? So the Mishnah Berurah brings the Chayei Adam and he says the word da. You should know. The Chayei Adam says, and that means that Mishnah Berurah holds like this, that even if you have no kavanah whatsoever, as long as there aren't two ways to interpret it, you're yotze the mitzvah. So if you take your lulav and esrog to the second day of Sukkot to shul, and you space out from the minute you got there to the minute it doesn't. What are you doing? What do you think you're doing? You're doing what do you think you're doing? Maybe you're trying to shake off the dust. No, that is either it's contextual kavanah, or the way I believe it really, you don't need any kavanah because it's a mitzvah by itself. But the point is, la halacha, you don't need any kavanah whatsoever. When you eat matzah at the Seder, if you didn't think for a minute, and kasher tziv Hashem, and you didn't think seisim is mitzrayim, anything, you're yotze the mitzvah. Because what are you doing over there? You're in the middle of the Seder. What are you? Maybe you're hungry. You're crunching on munchies. It's a mitzvah. And so any mitzvah itself is defined. It's certainly but defined by the context. Either it doesn't need kavanah at all, or it's contextual kavanah. But the point is, you're yotze. That's the Jewish law, and that's halacha. Everything good?
Yeah. So I was thinking, as I was putting full on the last couple of days after I heard it. So you're saying the bracha, you're counting. Is it above this, below the wrist? You're clearly involved, and the way we were talking, that should take us through the rest of davening, or at least until Shema and Shemona Esrei and Avos, because you're clearly involved. You're clearly, you can't just mindlessly do that.
Right. It's more than that. Even if you didn't, even if you're mindlessly doing it, you yotze. Because what else are you doing? I want to ask you a question. Do you wrap a cord around your arm every morning? Do you wrap a elastic band?
Yeah, but it's more than just opening a siddur and mumbling words. You have to count, and is it above, below, adjust it? There's a lot more involved to fill in, and that sort of calmed me down, because I was in it at least for a little bit. I should concentrate the whole time, but at least I know I started the right way.
Good, Chaim. So I'm going to calm you down more. I'm telling you, if you spaced out totally, you're yotze, because that's what the Chayei Adam says. Now, again, it is better. There are better levels, and ideally we should be 100% on all the time. That's ideal. If you want to know what you need to be yotze, the answer is just you're going through the motions. I hate to say the words robotic Judaism, but even if you're doing robotic Judaism, you're doing the mitzvahs. Now, is that enough? Should you do more? You should do more. Absolutely, greater levels. No question about it. If you want to know if you to be yotze, you're yotze. Now, again, Shema and the first bracha of Shemona Esrei, you're not yotze. But remember the mabit. In the first bracha of Shemona Esrei, even if you space out totally and you weren't yotze Shemona Esrei, it's still a tefillah. And that's the main diuk. That's the main diuk of Rav Chaim. Do I have that slide here? And the main diuk of Rav Chaim is, watch this diuk. Called tefillah she'eina b'kavana ain't a tefillah. This is when he's talking in Perek Daled, when you don't know you're talking to God. But here, Perek Vav, he never says it's not a tefillah. He didn't say it's not a tefillah. That's Rav Chaim's diuk. And it's only in Perek Daled when you're dealing with this kavanah of knowing you're talking to God. Otherwise, it's masasik. It's not a tefillah. But even Rav Chaim never said, in the wildest Rav Chaim's, if you don't have kavanah for the words, he doesn't say it's not a tefillah. So
we like that Kiddush of Rav Chaim, or did you actually need to know you're talking to Hashem? I know we said that concentrating by elbows probably accomplishes that, but do we actually hold that?
I have a feeling we do. but all that means is you have to be cognizant that you're talking to God. Because what he's saying is svara. It's such a basic svara. It's misasik otherwise. Now, for the record,
1 second. Doesn't the Chayim take care of that?
I don't know about talking to
Making
God.
misasik?
No, I don't know about talking to God, because you see, what else? It may not be talking to God necessarily, unless you're talking to God. But that's why I
What
said.
else are you doing there? You're standing there saying Shemona Esrei. You're talking to God. Like,
No. There are many people who don't even know that whatever.
it's a formula. It's a formula.
Yeah, right. It's like like Hogwarts. It's a potion. Whatever, some spell. How does it work out or whatever? Meaning, I
If
believe.
not, how else do they finish the whole thing in 25 minutes?
And the whole thing from brachos all the way. Yeah. By the way, Rabbi Schoenfeld used to call the matzah minyan, the 18 minute minyan, the matzah minyan. Yeah. Okay, but very important bir halacha. That's what I wanted to bring for you guys. You guys, anybody look at that bir halacha? The bir halacha says, and he says like this. Watch this dick. He says, the Mechaber in Kuf Aleph says that if you can't be mechavein be'avos, right, you should not daven. But as long as you can be mechavein and avos, you could daven, right? Says the bir halacha. Wait a minute, why didn't the Rambam say that? The Rambam didn't say that, right? So maybe it's not so pashal halacha. Says the bir halacha. Efshe ulai, maybe the Rambam means it, but he didn't mention it. Ulai, maybe he means it. Wait, according to the Shtibel reading of Rav Chaim, how could the Rambam possibly mean that? Meaning, how could you possibly say that? Meaning, if he knows he's only going to be mechavein and avos, that means the rest of his 18 brachas are masasek. That's why he brought you a support to where he's learning Rav Chaim. You know what I'm saying?
So let's say you just understand the Parsha Devarim by Avos. That's your minimum kavanah. That's all you do. I think we suggested last time that should be enough to even say that you're talking to God and take care of that aspect of it. But
I don't see how it can't be. Watch this.
Couldn't it be you're just saying it by rote, like Rebbe said, you say the Shmuz 200 times, you could say the words, but not even be like you don't even know what words you're saying. You're just on autopilot.
Yeah, that could be talking to God and not having Perush Milim, right? One thing for sure, Perush Milim means automatically you're going to have talking to God. Because Perush Milim means, blessed be you, God. I'm talking to who am I talking? God, you. Elokeinu, Avosenu, Avram, right? There, you can't have Perush Milim without knowing you're talking to God. But you could have talking to God without Perush Milim. By the way, let's say I don't know what the words mean. Like the Mabit says, in Amoritz, who mamish doesn't know what the words mean, it's still a tefillah. Okay, it's not Yotze Shmona Esrei, not high. Okay, but it's still a tefillah. So it comes out good news to the Jews. This is a I don't want to be a liberal over here, but it's good news. It's what I'm saying. It turns out, and the scary of Chaim is not scary. He never meant it. He never said it. It's good to know and it's good to be aware of, and it's good exercise to learn how to daven kavanah. And by the way, I want you to know something. And since I started this sugya, I'm much more cognizant of paying attention. It's for sure in avos, and the truth be told, even the rest of Shemona Esrei also. Just learning this sugya. That's what Rizal Salanta says. If you want to work on the Indian, learn the halachas. You automatically it makes you much more into it. So it had, if nothing else, learning the sugya had that. At least for me.
100%.
Good. Hi, gentlemen. It's been a fun sugya. In Mitzvah Hashem, we'll see you all after Simchas Torah, after Kabbalah Torah, dancing and happiness of the Torah. Now we got something to be happy about. We have 18
Are we back
sugyas.
the first Tuesday after, or
I got to figure out exactly when the Yontiv ends.
Yontiv's over Sunday night?
Maybe. I already started the 18th sugya. I've already got my slides done already.
Yeah, right.
You want to bet? You don't believe me? I'll show you them.
Put them up right now.
Okay, put them up.
Wow.
Put them up. Okay, put them up. Here, I'll show you. 1 second.
Wow.
Here we go.
I don't know. I think we need one more shiur, but we don't know how to read the Rambam still.
Yeah, wait. Oh, no, wait. I want to show you these things. I'm kidding around. Watch this. Present the view. 1 second. I'm going to show you.
We need to see the happy birthday slides. We need to see the happy
Okay.
birthday slides.
Look at this. This is Shidra. This is Shidra.
Wow.
Wow.
Tuma. These are pretty ones. Aren't these pretty? And
Yeah.
watch
Is
this.
this brachas? Is this a brachas sugya?
Yeah. We're starting brachas. Exactly. 1 second. Let me make this right here. We're doing this is the sugya. Next sugya we're doing.
How do you bow? How do you bow?
No. This is it's Tuma. It's Machlokas. And when the first Tosas in Brachos deals with this question, the machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan, when do you daven mincha till? Meaning, when does night start? Does night start plag a mincha? Does night start by shkia or tzeis, whatever you call it, right? And that machlokas, and how do you do tach to yisasri? How do you daven mincha? One night you daven mincha.
Sugyah, it says you can't pass him like Hillel and Shammai. You can't pass him for one for tarfus and one for oil.
Right. So, here we go. Oil and treifa, exactly.
There we go. See, I'm a little familiar with this again.
But here's one for you. Here's one for you. The chelik of the skull is.
Where's the crossbones, Rabbi?
No, it's just because it's Gulgulus. That's a look. It's Gulgulus. A part of a skull has whatever.
Evan Glal. We have in Makkos.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Schaefer. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We gave a lot to go into. We got this kavanah when we on Simchas Torah we're dancing. We'll think about the cow and
we have 17
Who's the chiropractor, Rabbi? Who's the chiropractor there?
Milton Maya.
We see we got the bones counted. It's which vertebrae you're up to. Yeah, you got a break over here in the fourth.
Is it vertebrae or ribs? What is it talking about?
These are vertebrae. No, it's Gilgulis. Gilgulis and Shidra. Shidra is the spine.
The spine? Okay.
Yeah, there's a different din for tumah. Shidra and Gilgulis have a different din for tumah than regular tzamos. So that's where Machlok Beisham Beisila comes in. All right, whatever. We'll get into it, Mr. Hashem. All right, so I'll let you know when we'll start. Maybe Tuesday, maybe Thursday. We'll let you know. All right.
Yeah,
Good Yantiv. Okay.
Maybe over Cholamoid, Rebbe could post that how to read the Rambam, or I was really wondering about that.
Oh, how to read? Oh, yeah. Oh, I meant to do that tonight. All right, Belinet, I'll do
maybe
that.
Over Cholamoid.
Yeah, or tomorrow morning, Belinet, I'll try if I can get to it tomorrow morning. If not, after. Yeah, I meant to do that. You're right. Because Mamish, I think it reads beautiful.
There's so much to do this Sugyah. We could go on for this Sugyah for months.
Yeah, right. It's
also I think people feel because there's a lot of halacha l'maisa which applies to our daily lives. It's like you feel like difference. Like this is my two. I daven shachar min kamar. You daven it's like
building my sukkah this year was definitely a much different experience.
Oh, yes. Actually, what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's why I said we didn't have to do a sukkah because we were doing the whole year sukkah.
Right.
I was actually wondering, Rebbe, if you put down something to hold your stock down, you put down bamboo poles or whatever. You're not really thinking that's Latsail. You're doing it to prevent the mat from flying up. Is that problematic at all? Because I would say even I'm putting these down to make sure that the mat doesn't fly off.
That's cute. 1 second. That's cute. Meaning, what are you doing? You're not putting it down for tsel. But I mean, the truth is, it wouldn't matter because what's on top of your head are the mats. So that let's even say that bamboo pole was puzzle. Let's say it wouldn't matter. You're under the mat.
They used to say the mats with the metal wiring.
Bamboo, a whole thing of bamboo covering the mat?
No, not covering the whole thing, but it's like I put them around the edges just to make sure it doesn't go flopping.
Yeah, so who cares? Let's say it was a metal bar. Let's say it was mamish a piece of metal, which is puzzle for sach. It's okay. You're not sitting under it, and if it's three.
But I think if it holds the sach down, that's problematic, right? So you can't tie him down.
It's mamid. You mean if it's mamid? So that would be maybe during a wind. If it's mamid normally means supporting, resting on. Now you could argue that if something holds it down, it's mamid also, but that's only when the wind blows. So that minute when the wind blows, in theory, you maybe have trouble. But how often does the wind blow? The wind would blow the schach off. How often is that? You know what I'm saying?
Right. The Meister should probably think if you're putting it down that you're doing it, let's say, even if that's.
Yeah, you're right. But I want to ask you a question. Normally, why else are you doing? Like, that sounds like for sure the chayodim. Like, what are you doing?
I'm doing it so it doesn't fly off.
All right, so I'll tell you what, if you're really afraid, so pick it back up and put it back down. You know what I mean?
This past Shabbos I was visiting, so the Rav there was giving a drasha on Chamsa Ruba Mitzilsa. Shad and Rashi. And I said, doesn't he know about a shade giver? Doesn't he know?
Right.
He's drushing. What does it mean?
Right.
How can it be the Ruba? What's it mean? Who cares about the Sugyah? Like he was touching on the edges of the Sugyah, but like he wasn't like Chavetz Chaim digging into it. It was like.
I know, good. For the record, when you put it down, even why you're putting it down to hold your shade giver down, right? So that's goof. That's goof up a shade. That's part of a shade giver.
So you're doing it to help it.
Yeah. Why are you putting it? Why do you want that board? Let's say a metal pole. Even why am I putting that metal pole down? To hold my schach. Why do I want? Because I want it to be a better shade giver. So How could it be anything but you're putting it down for the purpose of?
Well, the Torah, this is even better because I specifically use kosher stock to do that.
You're right. So it's even better, right?
Don't we say for wood that it's we don't use it l'chadchila for schach, like finished wood? You use it for supporting and for.
All right. So wood, it depends like this. Wood that's used for building. There's a gzera nesarim. Wood that's used for nesarim means building. For instance, Moshe Dan.
Buy it at Lowe's. You buy beams at Lowe's.
Right, but let me explain what I mean. A 2x4 would be a problem. But if you have thin 1 inch by 1 inch things, no one builds with them. They're used for decoration. They're used for whatever.
But a 2x2 or something that we use as a pillar. But you want to put that on top, wood on top to hold down your bamboo mats.
Yeah. So again, if it's a 2x4, it's not really an gzera nesarim. But nesarim means it has to be 4 tvachim. But Rav Moshe has a chumrah, and that if it's used in normal construction, like a 2x4,
4x4 has to be 4x4.
No. A 2 inch. A 2x4 is not even 2 inches wide. 2x4 is a 1 3/4 inch by 3 1/4 inch. Don't ask me why they cheat, but they do. So a normal 2x4 is used in construction. Rav Moshe has a chumrah, and it's not so simple. And that he says that since that's used in construction, it's in the gzera nesarim. There's a gzera that in the Mishnah that you can't use building. They used to put on their roofs slats that were very wide slats. So you can't use those. Why? It's a gzera atu tikra, because gzera a person will use like under his regular.
I remember
roof.
every slides.
Right. Good. So now it has to have a width of what they had in the time of Chazal. Rav Moshe has a chumrah. And that even though a 2x4 is not 4 tvachim, it's 4 inches, since it's used in construction, you shouldn't use it. Okay, good. But that's a 2x4. But a 1 inch by 1 inch or even a 2 inch by 2 inch pole, it's not used in construction. It's not, you don't build houses with it, you don't do it, so that's fine. The only thing it can't be is pshute, it has to be pshute kli eitz. It can't be a kli, right? It has to be gedule karka. It can't be makabel tuma, and it can't be mechuber. So anything then it's automatically kosher. The only thing, if it's used as a building supply, maybe you don't use it. But other than that, it's all.
But that would be a problem to even hold down your schach if you're just using to hold down the bamboo mat.
In theory, that would be a stretch. But in theory, you could argue such a thing. But it'd be a big stretch, to tell you the truth. I'd be hard pressed to. But if you wanted to,
I got this mahuder bamboo now with the wire. It's sewn together with bamboo threads, and I used to have the Home Depot stuff, whatever. But I have the guy who built my sukkah gave me 3 beams to put on top to hold down the schach so it doesn't blow off.
What kind of beams? 2x4s, you mean?
It's not 3 inches wide. It's maybe 2 inches.
If it's something
1 inch thick, it's 2 inches wide, maybe 1 inch thick.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. And again, even a 2x4 it's a chumrah of Rav Moshe. So it's mamid. It's debatable. You can have mamid on top. Mamid means something's resting on it. Here, this is on top. Now you could argue a svara to call it mamid because it's keeping the schach there, but it's a stretch to begin with. And even if it is mamid, it's not nesarim. It's not 4 tvachim. But Rav Moshe holds a chumrah, so it's like chumrah upon chumrah. Like, at a certain point you got to say, leave me alone. You know what I mean?
When it comes down to it, isn't there a question of it's rov kosher schach as opposed to not kosher schach? You have schach covering your entire sukkah. Even if it's puzzle, even if it is schach puzzle, won't you still have rov kosher schach, and therefore let's say you argue it's schach puzzle.
Oh, you're right. So if that's stretched, let's say this 2 inches over here or 1 inch is puzzle. Who cares? I'm sitting under the.
Right. There's no way I'm sitting just under that 2 inch wide.
Unless you're 1 inch thick. If assuming you're more than 1 inch thick, you're not sitting under.
I can talk with a really squeaky voice now and do a computer effect, maybe.
Right. But you're not. So therefore, you're sitting under much more than. So then it wouldn't matter anyway. Right. 100%.
It still bothered me that I got these mahuder bamboo mats, and then I put these wooden things on top of it,
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Yes, Martin. I'm sorry.
No, please.
Rabbi, one second. What did the president say?
this.
I heard his joke a little differently, Rebbe.
What's that? Go ahead, Martin.
This year we have a problem with the rain.
I know. I heard.
It's the rain tomorrow night.
I heard.
Where, New York?
In Atlantic Beach, yeah.
In Cleveland, we're supposed to get over the rain tonight. You're probably getting our rain because we're supposed to get over the rain tonight. By tomorrow, it's supposed to stop.
Thank you very much. You sent it to us. Thank you.
I got rain.
I'm just
I've had
hoping
rain
that at
since
some
before
point
Rosh
tonight I can
Hashanah.
say Kiddush Levana. I still have to say Kiddush Levana. Tonight's the last
I
night.
said Kiddush Levana last night, so Baruch Hashem.
We had nothing in Cleveland. Nothing.
Whatchamacall? So my wife and my daughters are going to eat inside if it's raining hard. Let's be realistic. I'm going to be in the sukkah. I'm going to make kiddush, make a mitzi. And do I eat the meal or do I say Bechas Hamazon and run back in with my family?
No, so it's worse than that. It's worse than
Really?
that. The first night you have a chiyuv d'oraisa to eat a kazayas in the sukkah. If it's raining,
Okay.
if you star, you putter. So that's why we wait. See, the problem is the first night you have to eat a kazayas in the sukkah. You're mechuyev. Now here's the problem. The problem is if it's raining and I'm at star, I'm not yotze in a mitzvah.
Oh,
So the problem is I can't eat it because I'm not yotze. So usually what we do, the Mishnah Berurah says to wait an hour or two. In other words, meaning you come home from shul and you hope and you see and you hope and you see. And if it's really raining, you mitzvah, you putter. But since there's a chiyuv to eat it, we try to fulfill it. Now, either way, by the way, let's say you waited an hour or two, whatever the time is, and you went inside to eat, and then it stops raining. You run outside quick and eat your kazayas to be yotze the mitzvah at night because you have a chiyuv to eat it.
Make a lay shave then? You make a lay shave then?
Yes, 100%.
But not if it's raining, right? If you're eating outside just when it's raining. If it's raining, and you're eating outside just to get a kazayas in because it's already midnight and you're just eating kazayas, so then you wouldn't make a lay
No,
shave.
don't even. Then you shouldn't eat the kazayas. You're wasting your time. If it's rain, if you mitzvah, you put them in a sukkah. You're not yotze mitzvah. If it's raining coming down on your head,
So what's the waiting around an hour or two for? What are we
maybe
waiting?
the rain will stop.
it's called a rain delay.
It doesn't stop. You don't go outside? Anyway?
No. If it's raining,
There's no scenario that you go out in the pouring rain to eat a kazayas?
no way. You're wasting your time.
That's what I used to do.
No, because you understand why. Anything that you'd leave your house for, it's Teshu came to do. Live in your sukkah.
On the chance that it's not Messiah, so at least you'll get kazayas.
One second. The Gemara Torah says Teshu came to the sukkah's Teshu Shivas Yomim. The Gemara says Teshu came to do. Sit in the sukkah the way you live in your house. Whatever you would leave your house for, you leave your sukkah for. So, for instance, in your house, it was coming down buckets. You would leave your house, right? So that means at that point you putter from the mitzvah sukkah. If when it's raining, you go out and eat 10 kazesim of chal, you did nothing. You did no mitzvah. You put them in the mitzvah, you're not doing nothing. So that's why we wait, because hopefully the rain will stop and I can fulfill the mitzvah. Now let's say it doesn't stop. So you go inside, you make kiddush in your dining room, you make kiddush, you eat a regular meal, and you keep an eye on what's doing outside. Now, if in fact it stops, you run out quick, eat your kazayas matzah. Or, right before you go to sleep, you try, because you want to do that. You're not obligated to get out of bed to do it necessarily, but you are, because that's also mitzvah. You want to get out of bed, but you try. No, I'm
It's
serious.
22, you're stuck now.
Right. Once you go to bed, you're right. But whatever. But so hopefully it's not going to rain. B'schus we're learning the sugyas. Hopefully more. I don't know.
Phoenix, we never had to worry about this.
I hear you.
It's a different world.
Yeah. All right, Jim. Okay. All right.
Yantif.
Okay. Good Yantif.
Good Yantif, Rebbe.
Thanks. All right.
Rebbe, I was thinking about someone told me that the Kiddush Levana. So I was remembering when I was in Rochester, Reb Baruch, the first night you could possibly say Kiddush Levana, like 3 nights after, he would always go out and say Kiddush Levana. And I saw him doing it once. No one else was doing it. It was just him. He said, I've been in Rochester for however many years. He says, you can have 2 weeks in a row that there's no Levana. If the first night possible is a Levana, he made Kiddush Levana by Yechidas. He didn't want to take the chance. Now I'm finding this, Mamish, if the Levana doesn't come out tonight, that's it. I lost it.
Right.
Because we've been since Yom Kippur night. Every night we've been going out, and it's been cloudy. In New York, you had a moon.
So no, I have not been Mekadosh Levana. I'm going to go out right now. Hopefully, I'm going to see. Hopefully, yeah.
All right, we'll dive in both, and we can say Kiddush Levana.
Good. All right, again, yeah.